Hello everyone, I hope you're well. This is Olwen Jennings, channel coach and healer of olwenjennings.com, your guide to living more of a heart-led life. I have been nudged by my own intuition and my spirit guides to come on here this morning and just share with you some thoughts about all the shifts that are happening. Hello Inga. In relation to our own reality, and why intuition is going to play a massive part in our next steps in terms of our evolvement. So, and I also want to say to you that as your guide to a heart-led life, and as somebody who really believes in the power of intuition, I am here to help you develop your own intuition so that you can live in this new reality more easily. And I am working on something at the moment which I hope to bring to you shortly, which will be a way to help you develop your own intuition and learn more about the new reality which is coming. For some reason, my guides are telling me this is really important work, and I am one of the light leaders that is here to help you with this. Hi Helen, thanks for joining me. So I hope you're going to get something from this today. You will have heard a lot about how we as a species are evolving from a 3D reality to a 5D reality. It's not on the national news or anything, but it certainly is in the news and has been for a while in the spiritual world. And you will have heard me talking about ascension. It is really one and the same thing. So I'm going to try and explain a bit more about that now, and how intuition is going to play a really big part in this shift. I do have some notes because I wanted to try and make this as informative as possible. And so for those of you joining me live, you are very welcome. And also for those of you that are going to watch the replay, you are equally welcome. So, as a species, we are actually evolving into more advanced versions of ourselves. I guess we're doing that, and we have been doing that all along. And you will have heard much talk, certainly in the spiritual communities, about our planet being upgraded from a 3D reality to a 5D reality. And that means that we are being upgraded too. Hi, Karen. Oh, thank you. This also means the human perspective is changing rapidly, especially if you are energetically in tune with this great shift. Now, those of us who've been working on our own spiritual journey will be very much aware of this shift. In fact, we have been through quite a lot lately. But one of the many symptoms of this ascension is going to be able to access more of our extrasensory perceptions. For example, clairaudience, where you just hear things. Your psychic and mediumship abilities might suddenly become stronger. You may be able to see auras or energy more easily. However, the main extrasensory, if you like, perception, which will become part of our relationship with reality, is intuition. Intuition is certainly how we used to live more. And of course, as we have been living our human existence, we've allowed our minds and our ego to get in the way of intuition. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the way we have evolved so far, and no doubt we have learned a lot from that. But to live more consciously in a 5D reality, it is going to become more and more necessary to rely on your own intuition a lot more. I just want to read this quote to you by Liara Covert. And she says, "The 3D world is where memory is used to access knowledge. In the 5D world, intuitive knowing is the way to operate. When you feel increasingly out of time, it's because the 5D world requires no time. You intuitively stop doing what you think you should or need to do, simply to do what feels right. Nothing else. As memories fade, innate ability to respond intuitively takes over. Simply trust you know what you need to know every moment. Losing your memory is a pointer. Notice the stigma for losing the mind. In essence, this is empowering." Now, I agree with some of that. I think it's true that a lot of how we're used to operating is no longer needed, or is not going to be needed as much. But I also get that quite often we can't rely on our memories anymore for whatever reason. And I'm not talking about poor people who suffer with dementia, but we perhaps don't need them as much in terms of how to learn, because if intuition takes over and you really listen to your inner self and your inner knowing, then you don't need to rely on memory for knowledge. But anyway, so as our consciousness matures, we see that intuition is not just random light bulb moments anymore, but it becomes more of a way of life. It becomes more of our primary guidance system. Gay Hendricks says, "Intuition is a direct signal from your deepest self that you are navigating from your true center." So what does that mean? To allow intuition to play this big role, it is necessary. It's absolutely necessary, as many of us already living this work know. It's absolutely necessary to heal old egoic beliefs, or I don't even know how to say that word, but beliefs that come from the ego, and also to try and heal fears of the mind. I know that's really difficult for a lot of us. Then you can operate from your soul rather than your mind. Then a path of least resistance should emerge, because then your mind is no longer doubting your intuitive hunches or your intuitive knowing. Logical decisions will fall away, and a much higher consciousness becomes our roadmap. We feel our way through life rather than think our way through. Now you're all going, well, how the hell do we do that? I know, it's not easy. But this is what we're being asked to do if we really want to raise our consciousness to the next level. So we have a whole lifetime and possibly past lifetimes to heal. But here's the thing, you can do it. And the more you learn to trust your intuition, the easier that will become. So where's the catch? Living intuitively takes practice. We don't go from being riddled with fear and doubt directly into an intuitive state. And it's not easy to follow an intuitive nudge when ego is still going, really? You really want to do that? Are you being absolutely crazy? Because ego shouts, doesn't it? It really does. It shouts at us, and it shouts at us to protect us, really, in case we might fail. But if we live more intuitively, then we're less likely to fail. Everyone's intuition works differently. Only you will know when your soul is how your soul is communicating with you. There are some similarities. For example, when intuition becomes a bit more obvious to you, such as number sequences, intuitive dreams, or just a knowing which comes from your heart, right? The mind will always try to look for a deeper understanding so that it can predict the outcome of a situation. However, you may also have noticed how things rarely go as we thought they would. And of course, we can't completely dismiss the mind. It has its role to play, but more often than not, it's there to override, I think, or try to override how we're feeling. It's making us live from thought rather than how we feel about something. I mean, how often have you done something that doesn't feel right and then it doesn't turn out? It's not in your highest good in the end, quite often. I know there's been lots of times in my life when I've ignored my intuition, and there's always been some sort of price to pay. Also, it takes a lot of trust. You have to trust in your own inner guidance system, and you have to trust that by being more in touch with your own intuitive guidance system, you're also linking more to your spirit guides and to all the guidance that is available around us. So eventually, goodness knows where this will take us. If we are living in a world eventually where we are living purely from our heart, purely from love, purely from a state of wanting to be happy and full of joy, and purely from a state of just not questioning or trying not to question, and certainly not judging. So those already living in 5D consciously are very much in tune with their intuitive guidance. And I'm trying to be very much in tune with my intuitive guidance too. And for the most part, I manage it. But it's also true that people that are more in touch with this guidance are also being asked to let go of fears and old beliefs, which I mentioned earlier. We are trying to trust, and we are trying to go with our nudges. And sometimes they don't seem to make sense, but I'm on here today because I followed a nudge, and I'm hoping that by doing that, I'm reaching out to some people that just may need to hear this. Eventually, as we evolve even more, I believe we won't feel separate from our intuition. I believe we won't feel separate from our guides. I think eventually we'll embody everything as one rather than calling it an intuition or a guidance from higher beings or from other spiritual entities. I think eventually we'll just be living in that state of knowing and trusting. And yes, I don't know how long it's going to take, and it is a state of consciousness for sure. It takes practice. I'm still practicing, and we still get drawn back into the drama of living in a 3D world and in 3D relationships, which is where the old fears come back, the old restrictions, the old conditioning sits. And that's okay, because we're still learning from that. But more and more children are being born now, and have been over the last couple of decades that are already more evolved than certainly I am at my tender age. And they are also here to teach us and show us. They are much more feeling. I don't think it's any coincidence that a lot of them suffer with anxiety. It's because the harshness of 3D living is too much. Anyway, that's a different subject. So I, as I said at the beginning, I'm really passionate about helping as many people as possible start to trust in their intuitive nudges and to start to become one with their intuition and to start living from their heart. So shortly, I am going to be offering or making an offer to help those of you that wish to learn more about how to live from your heart, how to live more intuitively, can't say that either, and how to evolve, how to become ready for this next state of being. And if you're interested at all in knowing more about that training, then please do comment after you've watched this live or after you've watched the replay with a yes in the comments box, and I'll be in touch. But basically, it's time to step up. It's time to really live. I mean, really live and try to work with our old conditioning. Move it to the side. Send it love. Say thank you very much, but I am going to try to go with what feels right. So if you, as I've said, if you'd like to know more about what's coming, if you'd like to be part of this training that I'm going to be offering, then please comment with a yes, and I'll be in touch when I have put it together. So for now, I hope that's helped. There's lots more I could say on it, but I think that's enough for today. I'm also available, as you know, to help you on your own spiritual journey, and that includes helping you with your intuition on a one-to-one basis. And you can either have a single session with me, or there's a package at the moment of 3 sessions. So if that's something you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, then I'd be delighted to hear from you as well. Anyway, thank you to everybody who joined me live. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching the replay. And I will be back soon. Bye. Lots of love.